You've been saving for a year, maybe longer. Every month the number goes up. You feel like you're finally doing it. Then one month, a car repair, a medical bill, a job cut, and it's gone. Not just the money, the habit, the momentum, the identity of someone who saves. And most people never fully come back from it. This video is about why that happens and why it has almost nothing to do with money. 73%. That's how many people who completely drain a savings account to handle a financial crisis do not return to their previous savings rate within 12 months. And for most of them, the gap is not income. They earn enough to rebuild. What's blocking them is happening entirely in their psychology, in 5 specific traps that a single bad month activates. Here's the thing nobody says. After a financial setback, 2 things happen simultaneously. The money leaves, and your brain undergoes a series of psychological shifts that make rebuilding feel impossible or not worth trying. These aren't character flaws. They're predictable, documented behavioral responses. Once you know what they are, you can interrupt them. So let's name all 5. In 1979, Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky published research that changed how we understand human decision-making. Their finding, losing $20 is not the mirror image of gaining $20. Losing feels more than twice as painful as gaining feels good. They measured the ratio carefully. It came out at roughly 2.5 to 1. They called it loss aversion, and it's one of the most replicated findings in all of behavioral science. 2.5 times more painful, which means a $3,000 emergency that wipes out what took you 6 months to save doesn't feel like losing 6 months. Your brain registers it as losing 15 months. That psychological mismatch is the hidden engine behind every one of the 5 traps, and it starts before you even have time to make a conscious decision. Trap 1 is loss amplification. Because losses feel bigger than they mathematically are, your brain registers a financial setback as far more catastrophic than the numbers show. If you saved $200 a month in 12 months and then spent 3 hours on an emergency, you kept 9 months of discipline, 9 months of the habit, 9 months of the neural pathway. But loss amplification makes you feel like you lost everything. You didn't. You lost the balance, not the progress. Trap 2. The fresh start fallacy. After a setback, most people don't try to pick up where they left off. They feel like they need to start over, with a new plan, a new budget, a cleaner slate. The problem is that starting over requires mental energy, rebuilds nothing that was lost, and usually fails before it gets going. Continuing from where you are, even from a lower balance, even at a reduced rate, is always faster than starting from scratch. The reset is a trap disguised as discipline. 9 months of neural pathway. 9 months of automatic behavior. 9 months of identity as someone who saves. That doesn't show up in the balance. It doesn't disappear when the balance hits 0. But if you trigger the fresh start fallacy and treat 0 as the actual beginning, you throw away the most valuable thing you built, which is the habit itself. The habit is the asset. The balance is just the output. Trap 3. Identity collapse. Over time, consistent saving stops being something you do and starts being something you are. You think of yourself as someone who saves. One bad month, especially one where the account visibly hits 0, can collapse that identity completely. Once you stop being a saver in your own mind, the behavior follows immediately. You stop setting up the transfer. You stop thinking about it. The account just sits there because the version of you that used it no longer exists. Trap 4. Future discounting. Financial crises make the future feel less certain, and when the future feels uncertain, your brain assigns it less value. The technical term is hyperbolic discounting. The practical effect is that saving $50 today for a future payoff feels much harder to justify when tomorrow feels less predictable than it did last month. So you don't save, not because you're lazy, because the math your brain is running changed temporarily. But most people don't realize it's temporary, so the discounting persists long after the crisis is gone. Trap 5. The shame spiral. After a bad month, most people stop looking at their finances. Not because they don't care, because it hurts to look. The balance is lower than it was. The goal feels further away, so they stop checking, stop logging, stop opening the app. But avoiding the numbers doesn't change the numbers. It just means the next bad month arrives with even less warning, hits harder, and deepens the spiral. Shame makes you avoid the very tool that would show you the way out. Loss amplification. The fresh start fallacy. Identity collapse. Future discounting. The shame spiral. 5 traps, all triggered by one bad month. And here is the important part. None of them require willpower to break. Willpower is the wrong tool entirely. What breaks these traps is structure, a system designed to survive a bad month before the month ever happens. Here's what a structural fix looks like. First, keep the automatic transfer running even after the setback, even at 10% of what it was, even at $20 a month. This is not about the dollar amount, it's about the identity signal. When the transfer runs during the bad month, you don't become someone who stopped saving. You become someone who kept saving at a reduced rate during a hard time. That distinction is everything, because it keeps all 5 traps dormant. But the deeper fix goes further. None of the 5 traps fully activate if the bad month doesn't drain your savings to zero. And the most reliable way to prevent that is a secondary income layer, money coming in that isn't your salary, that doesn't stop when your expenses spike, and that absorbs the hit before it reaches your savings account. In the AI era, that income layer is more accessible than it's ever been for ordinary people without technical backgrounds. People are generating real monthly income using AI tools, writing, automation, content, digital products, freelance services where AI does half the work. Not overnight, not passively, but consistently, with a few hours a week, producing income that layers on top of a salary. The point isn't to get rich from it. The point is that $400 or $500 a month from an AI income stream changes what a bad month does to you. It's the difference between a setback and a crisis. $500 a month. That is 1 car repair, 1 urgent care visit, 1 month where something goes wrong. If that income layer exists, the bad month doesn't empty your savings account. It slows one deposit. The balance dips, but doesn't hit zero. Loss amplification stays quiet. You never enter the fresh start fallacy. Identity stays intact. Future discounting doesn't trigger. The shame spiral has nothing to spiral from. $500 a month doesn't just change your bank account. It changes your psychology. So here's the real pattern. 1 bad month undoes years of saving, not because you lost the money. Money can be replaced. It undoes you. The money law here to have a lot of that sit down, save behavior, and don't have trap the by name, so they can't about them. The solution has 2 parts. A structural system that keeps the savings habit alive through a bad month, and an income layer that makes the bad month smaller before the traps ever get a chance to activate. And here's what nobody explains about financial recovery. It compounds in reverse of the problem. Every single day you stay in the system, even at reduced volume, even at $20 a month, shortens the recovery dramatically. Because you never had to restart. You never collapsed the identity. The neural pathway stayed warm. When the income comes back, or when the AI income layer starts producing, you don't rebuild from scratch. You just turn the dial back up on something that never stopped running. So here's the actual move. This week, don't cancel the transfer. Lower it if you have to. $10, $20, $50, whatever survives the bad month without going to zero. That's step 1. Step 2. Build 1 AI income stream that earns you a few $100s a month before the next crisis arrives. If you want the clear, no hype guide to doing that, what actually works, what doesn't, and how to start with zero technical experience, subscribe. That is the entire reason this channel exists. Don't restart. Continue.